a phenomenal band that blows my mind every time, pretty much gives me goosebumps in all the right places when I'm watching them live and when I'm listening to them on vinyl and on all of the other platforms. Please welcome the incredible band that are made up of Isaac Klawinski, Louis Roux, Jacques Moulman. They are Shadowclub.
Hello.
No, hello, Louis. Hi, Isaac.
Bonsoir.
And Jacques is playing hard to get.
Jacques, where are you, brother? There we go.
He's gone.
No.
Typical Jacques. He's just playing hard to get as usual.
Frontmen are always late, always late. Look
who's
here.
Hello, Lee. Hello, Lee.
Hello.
Yay.
Ooh, I feel like you're doing something naughty.
So how are you guys doing? How's lockdown treating you? It's so good to see your faces. So good to connect even online. What's been going down your side? Where are you going now, Isaac? Are you washing another baby? What's happening?
We lost him, Kerry.
Just the two of us. I'm going to start singing to you now, Lulu.
Please do.
It's just the two of us. Isaac, back. Where are you walking to, Isaac?
I'm just in my little studio / office.
Oh, good.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's a damn fine place.
Hey guys, sorry.
Hi, Malcolm.
Pacing around.
Hello.
Okay, so we're all here.
We're here. Sorry, my
We're all
computer's
here.
giving me trouble.
Just chill, boy.
So we were talking about lockdown and how wonderful it is to see all of your faces and to connect even just online. It's been a while.
Sure thing, Kerry. Or is it Samantha?
So let's start with you, Lou. You've been doing some crazy things in lockdown. You've had to put some auctions together. You've had to do some crazy things just to kind of get through lockdown so we can all see each other on the other side. For those that don't know, these guys have bands inside. Jacques has been working on a phenomenal solo album, which we'll talk about. Small Fears, something that Isaac's been working on. And Louis owns and runs Pablo Escobar and Pablo House in London. So, Lou, tell us what lockdown's been like on your side. What have you been up to?
Yeah, so lockdown's been pretty. It was pretty intense. We basically had one guest at Pablo House who couldn't go home. She couldn't get back to Dubai, so she checked in on the 7th of March. Okay, and she is still here. So she's still here, and she'll probably be here, like, let's say maybe 7th of July, 14th of July. So that'll be March, April, May, June, July. 5 months.
So
5 months locked in Pablo House. I can tell you that we've been through more than 200 bottles of liquor. When you're getting to know someone, you really that helps to soften the blow. Anyway, so that, and then with hospitality shutting down and stuff, we did an art auction of some of the pieces in Pablo House and some other pieces which were donated from artists who we exhibit here at the moment. And then we're working on a very cool other new projects. So we're building a new restaurant, which we're going to launch in mid-July in Sandton CBD. And we are building a drive-in. I'm not going to say too much about that, but it should be the first legitimate licensed drive-in. And that I'm actually doing it. My partner is Gareth Wilson from SGQ. So the best in the business. And we're just trying to keep the ball rolling. We're building a coffee roastery at the moment. And I mean, what do? Never waste a good crisis. That's the positive side of it. The negative side and the horrible, more real side of it is that there's a massive humanitarian problem, and we have to witness it every day and try and contribute in some way. And it's all, like I find you have to sort of keep your mind preoccupied with as much positive thinking as you can. But the reality is that there's a problem out there. So I don't want to dwell on that right now, but I just hope that everyone can come out of this, with something intact, and that we can rebuild, and we can just, give us another, let the earth give us another shot.
What a great way of looking at things, and what an awesome way to spread a little positivity over everything. Good luck with all of your new adventures. Whatever you do is made of goodness and gold. So I know it's all going to work out for you. I can't wait to visit all of your new spots. And good luck with your new bestie from Dubai.
We're going to have you MC the launch, eh? What do you say?
Yes, please. I'm taking virtual handshake. Oh, thank you.
That is so lame. Shake on it.
Virtual handshake. Isaac, you're in Cape Town. So what's been going down in the world with Mr. Klawonski? How's it been going for you?
It's been intense.
There we go.
My girlfriend and I, we had a little girl, like middle of January.
Congratulations!
Yeah, so that was amazing. And then lockdown happened, and we've been locked in a house for the last few months, looking after kids and doing homeschool, and feeding babies and bathing babies and educating children, and doing some work in the in the half an hour gaps we get when she's napping and when she's asleep. So yeah, it's been good. Family vibes.
Jacques Loonies, what have you been up to? You're also based in Joburg as well as myself. And hello. So what have you been doing? I know you've been working on your album, which we'll talk about a little later on. But what has life in lockdown been like for you?
So I hit the road running as soon as we went into lockdown. I had to make a plan because I was going to open for Shaky Graves in my solo capacity. And I had 3 really great shows lined up. I was going to go to Cape Town. I had about 10 shows lined up there. And I had to cancel them all, one after the other quite quickly. And then I had to make a plan because I'd budgeted to get the money from those shows, and I was going to start my solo career off of those shows as well. So I had all the equipment that I needed, luckily. So I've been very grateful throughout the lockdown to just have a computer and to have sound and to be able to do what I've been doing. And sound has been a bit of an issue during the live streaming shows, but I started live streaming within the first 2 weeks of lockdown. And I've just been really, really busy. I've been doing Shadowclub retrospective shows where I've been playing songs from all 3 of our releases, Guns and Money, Goodbye Wild Child, and Big Green Mamba Dream. And I've been working on the lead up towards my solo release, The Great Mariko Redemption. As we mentioned, I've got that solo album coming out, and the first single drops tomorrow, actually. So I've been really, really intensely busy. My girlfriend has a little 4-year-old, and we've also been dealing with having to keep her occupied and educated, and as Isaac was saying, so that's also been like full-time work for us, and we've kind of been playing past the toddler for the last however many months. And also we've been through the various phases, of what you go through with this whole thing, and we're just trying to stay positive, as Louis was saying. But I think we're learning so much from it as human beings, and I think there's a lot of positive. There's a huge positive that's going to come out of this whole process. One thing I noticed, and it was actually hanging out at Pablo House the other night, was
sorry, can you just?
I was there pretty quickly, but
I've never seen that man before.
It's just that people are, whether you're communicating through business or whether you're doing what we're doing right now, people are far more open socially, or communicatively. People are wanting to let go, I think, of, I don't want to say their egoistic side, but I guess it is that. It's your ego, and I think people are becoming far more real and open and which is interesting to see. And people are becoming more vulnerable, and that's really been awesome. But so I've just been busy.
Yeah, it's been quite an experience going through a pandemic that none of us thought we'd find ourselves in. And it's pretty interesting to see a band like you feeling so positive about it. I know it's a very hard thing for all of us to deal with in different ways, but you all seem to be quite strong and quite positive about it all, and seeing the silver linings.
200 bottles of liquor will keep you pretty positive, I'll tell you.
Like gives everything a silver lining. Fantastic.
I just want to be clear that I'm not making that number up. So when we went into lockdown, we did a stock count. We took all the Exco bar stock, and the Dos Manos of Pablo House stock, and we counted. We had 160 bottles of wine, and we had like 40 bottles of mixed spirits. What I can tell you is that at about week 8, we started drinking our last bottle of alcohol-free gin with like diet Sprite or some shit. So, you get some clarity from that kind of experience. So, yeah, we're all positive.
Good stuff. Okay, cool. So there we go. We've got Isaac back. Isaac, stop disappearing. Okay, so we've spoken a bit about lockdown. And
sorry, guys. For some reason, my signal is like.
No, that's.
You wanted to move to Cape Town.
One of the kids. Go check the child's not searching the old porno.
You would think
slowing down the web.
Okay, cool. So we're here to talk about Shadowclub, Out of Life, and music, and we're just going to hang out for the next hour or so. But let's start. Once upon a time, Mr. Klawonski met Mr. Mullman. They started a band called Airship Orange. Airship Orange had a very bad reputation, the bad boys of rock and roll. And Louis, I'm not leaving you out because I went on a couple of tours.
You left out of the Nell Sprite story. I was not. I'm not
bring up the Nell Sprite story. So
the
don't know
special blue moon.
I was never at the blue moon.
I'm not bringing up that story at all. Two terrible stories from 18 years ago. So Louis was in Evolver One, Jacques and Isaac in Airship Orange, and you were all making great music and going on tour, doing really, really well. And then, but I mean, you were around 20 years old. You were young whirlers, and who cares what happened back in the day? You all got together, you started Shadowclub, and you wanted to make an album, I think, in around 12 days, and you did it under 10, and it was just raw, dirty, and awesome. And everything you've made since has been absolutely magnificent, in my opinion. Everything you do is so passionate and so real and so damn good. Let's start off with your first album. You did make it in just a couple of days, and there wasn't any fussing about it. So tell me about getting together and making the first album.
So we had to make that album in 6 days because I think it was $6,000 a day at the studio, that old studio in town. What was it called?
Yeah, what was it called?
Sting Studios. And
Yeah.
Sting
Studios.
Sting to me, I think we all kind of agreed that Sting was a tax evasion business that was placed
Hustler.
directly next to the Hustler distributor factory.
I think we also all got
owned
stuck.
by the guy. Yeah. And yeah, so we had to kind of get it done as soon as we could, but we'd had a lot of experience with those songs live, and Louis came on board, and he was just amazing because he came into our rehearsal space in Parkhurst in 16th Avenue. And,
Don't tell them what I was wearing, bro.
and he was wearing salmon-colored skinny jeans, and I was like, damn, it's a pity about those jeans because that guy can play all the songs.
Everything else is cool.
you gotta
I'm
lose
an
those
electronic
jeans.
music producer. I didn't know about black skinny jeans. I went to JJ's and dropped like 85 Rand on what I thought were rather fetching skinny jeans.
If you want to, I don't know.
And then Jacques and Isaac, we finished the rehearsal, and then I phone Isaac. So I say to Isaac, they're looking for bassists. I phone Isaac and say, you have to get me a rehearsal. I mean, like an audition with Shadowclub looking for a bassist, who I had watched, I think, the most intently the same weekend of copy where I met my wife. And I sat with Isaac's cousin, Philip, and we smoked a joint on the grass watching Shadowclub with Lyle playing bass. And it was
At 1 p.m.
It was amazing. I was blown away. You know, like the first time you hear like war is over, you just like, it just washes over you with like euphoria. And I phoned Isaac and I'm like, Shadowclub's looking for a bassist. Isaac and I had already been like a rhythm section since I was 12 and he was 14. I was like, you have to get me this audition. So he's like, okay, we got you an audition. Fuck, if you're calling a favor, eh? And then I go to JJ's, I buy these ridiculous fucking salmon. Okay, I do the audition, and now I'm waiting
What
for
color were they again?
what color? Salmon.
Salmon.
Coral.
Coral skinny jeans.
Like teenager vomit pink.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're wearing the salmon skinnies and you go into the rehearsal. Then what happens?
The rehearsal's fine. I don't think that salmon pants were as bad as the tightest tank top that you could literally see how much chest hair I had. But let's not get into the black tank top and the salmon skinnies. But an hour or so, or a couple hours later, I phone Isaac, and I'm like, what's the story? He's like, I've had a chat to Jacques, and if you lose the pants, you're in the band. And that was one of the most exciting moments of my entire musical journey. So
Wow.
Cheers.
Cheers to that! Hooray!
And we never looked back. I mean, it's been a solid,
What about
good
the first gig,
run.
What about the first what?
The first gig.
What about the first
So
show?
the first show, oh my God, in 4 ways. Cool
That was
Runnings.
the best.
I don't know, bro. I think you got to tell the story. I don't know how much you
Cool
want
Runnings, yeah.
how much you want to tell. I think this is your
No,
tale.
tell everything. Tell it all. Go for it.
No, I can't, my signal's so bad, I can't actually hear a thing. You got to tell it.
Okay, so the story goes, so it's my first gig with Shadowclub, and we're playing at Cool Runnings in 4 ways, and I'm like super nervous, you know. I think I even had like some sheet music that I'd written just in case I messed something up. So we get there. Isaac at the time is playing with Flash Republic, and he's dating Tomorrow Day, and they come from a gig or something, I don't know. But those motherfuckers was high, yo. so like, and I'm talking about like dance club high, peaking at 4 a.m. high. So anyway, I've got my mother in the audience, okay, and she's waiting for her little boy to shine, you know, and I'm so badly trying not to duff this gig. So, so we're in the middle of the song, and we like about to hit this crescendo, and it's this chorus, and there's this big bass like boom slide, and the next thing there's no drums in the chorus. So I turn around and Isaac has put his drumsticks onto the snare, like very neatly. Okay, like put his drumsticks down. He's covered in this smoke machine with pink and yellow, and he's just sitting there like this, just having a nice time.
Oh man. Oh,
Wow,
yeah,
that is
those
an
are the days.
amazing story. Wow.
Yeah.
I think I need to wipe my tears. That was beautiful. Thank you, Isaac, for creating that beautiful memory. Thank you for ruining Lou's mom's life at that point. But let's play some tunes from that first album. What a huge hit. And obviously one of the first to make us all fall in love with you, Shadowclub. This song is Guns and Money on Discover TV.
Yeah.
Yay!
There's now guys, watch this because Louis doesn't wash his hands, and this is like the commentary right in the video is that Louis doesn't wash his hands after taking a pee here.
Let's just be clear. Okay, I wasn't manhandling my dick at the time. All right, I was acting, guys.
No washing your hands. Straight out onto the stage.
This is the best venue in Joburg, okay?
This was the Bohemian, and it was just so sick. This is where we started. We played our very first show here, and I remember many a night. It was just like insane. It would get packed. It was sweaty. It was just like the best vibe, the best jaw.
Young and sexy, I tell you. Damn, God damn it. It's a damn shame what this lockdown's done.
Yeah.
I'm definitely grey, eh? No doubt. So I'm definitely more grey in the last 2 months. A lot more grey than that video.
Well, it is black and white. You're technically gray in that video.
Okay, all right, it's fine.
I want to get technical. Also, I'm the antique between us all, so I think you need to calm down, Lulu.
Thank you.
I think those
Aging gracefully.
Well, yes, you're all aging ridiculously well, and all sounding insanely good as always, which may or may not irritate me, but I am enjoying all of the beautiful music that you're making. But that there, Guns and Money off the first album, you have 3. Let's talk about your influences, because I know throughout the years people are saying you're sounding a little bit like the Black Keys, you're sounding like Ramones, The Doors, White Stripes, Kings of Leon. So you all have so many different influences, and I know that Jacques loves Buddy Guy and Howling Wolf and a bit more of the blues. So let's talk about your influences, because you're obviously all influenced by certain genres and certain artists, but collectively, who are you loving? Who made you pick up the instrument, and any instrument really, for that matter, for the first time, and makes you kind of gel as Shadowclub?
Gosh, well, you mentioned the Black Keys, but I'd say that the really early Black Keys, the album Thick Freakness, where they just started, that really raw garage blues rock and roll. That's the album that inspired me to take the melodic direction on guitar that I did, and ended with the Shadowclub sound. And then, you know, I also was listening to a lot of the White Stripes, their more rock and rolly songs, and like Blue Orchid, and so yeah, those bands definitely influenced the sound of Shadowclub. But I'd say that what made me pick up a guitar in the 90s, I remember playing the top E, just one string, you know, one string guitar on my mom's old guitar, was bands like the Cranberries. I just loved the way she used her voice, and how she played harmonically with the you know, the instruments. And used her voice as an instrument, and then I also my band was Nirvana. Really, I love Nirvana, and I think there were two bands at that stage that kind of competed, and it was Pearl Jam and Nirvana. You were either Nirvana or Pearl, or you were both. I mean, that's all good, but I definitely was a Nirvana junkie. I absolutely loved it, and was very influenced by Kurt Cobain's demeanor at the time, and his rawness, and his songwriting, and yeah. And then obviously, like the older blues guys, I got introduced to at a later stage by my dad, because he had a massive collection of blues. So like Johnny Hooker, his voice really drew me into the blues. And Howling Wolf, Lead Belly, Blind, Lemon Jefferson, Robert Johnson, all of those guys.
Awesome. Lou, what have you got to say about that? I think that Isaac's just bored of us, and he's like, because I can see he's looking at me, and then he's like, oh.
Okay.
Let's talk about you and your influences, and what got you into music.
Okay, so my realistic, I mean, you know, my sister is a few years older than me, and then, I mean, she had like Whitesnake and Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Marcy Playground. You know, that was the stuff that was in her room, and I'd walk in and she wasn't there, and I'd take a CD and go listen to Collective Soul, you know, that kind of thing. But that wasn't really what kind of got me into playing music. It just happened to be so that Isaac started the drums, and his brother, who's also one of my best mates, started the guitar. And it was around the same time. I was in standard 6. And I was sitting in art class, and this girl that I liked I was in standard 7, and I was sitting in art class, and this girl that I liked said, "Does anyone here play bass?" So I'd never played a guitar before, and I said, "I play bass." You know, I thought it would be a sure win. So anyway, so I went to her house that weekend, and she taught me how to play Smoke on the Water. And we played the school battle of the bands. We sucked terribly, probably not my fault. Must have been the drummer or something, I'm not sure. And, you know, we played this gig, and it was really cool. And then after that, and Isaac and his brother Matthew were, you know, they had like a garage band of guitar and drums. Then I went to Matthew's guitar teacher, and he introduced, to learn. And I was with him for about 6 months before he told me that just wasn't going to work out. Like, you know, I never practiced, and I wasn't serious enough and whatever. But then I think it was 97 or 98, the Red Hot Chili Peppers released Californication, which is, okay, whatever it was. But that album was like the most, like in terms of bass and tone and style and melodic flow and following a vocal with the bass and harmonizing with the vocal and the guitar. That for me was like still to this day, bass or no bass, that was my most influential music album of just sort of like high energy going for it, you know, whether it be practicing, whether it be trying to achieve a certain tone. There's that, yeah, that was a major one for me. And then from like a rock and roll type of influence, it would be like Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix, that type of thing.
Yeah,
Wow.
I wanted to add, like, vocally.
Sorry, I want to say something just before you finish. Is playing with Jacques though, and learning how he vocalizes on the guitar. has also shaped the way that I play. And I think that I think there's still amazing synergy there where I try and like follow his voice while rooting what he's doing on the guitar. And it's just that whole thing of like a bass or a guitar that like, is you almost like you can write the music of the song, or you can start with like a lyric. I'm not really sure how Jacques creates the magic he does exactly, but if he's got a vocal idea and then plays it on the guitar, then I come in with the bass. We've like playing this thing. There's just the synergy there for me. It's just the best thing ever. So
That's
thank you.
a beautiful thing to say, wowza. And I'm not sure Jacques knows what's going on with his voice. I feel like there's something crazy inside Jacques that, is it even real? I don't know. But Jacques, you are ridiculous. There's something inside you that comes out of your mouth, and not many vocalists.
Whoa,
No, for real. And if someone in your band, a brother, can follow your vocal with an instrument, it's quite something. You know,
that's very special to me, Louis, saying that. Actually, I've always felt that obviously the voice is an instrument. You have to treat it as such with the same kind of respect. And I've had my wear and tear over the years, and I've had to sort of behave myself at certain times because the voice is probably the most sensitive instrument. But it's definitely been the instrument that I've led with, but I've always written instrumentally first and then sung over that, and lyrics have always come after the writing. Yes.
You always written that with the guitar first?
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes sort of synergistically, like at the same time, I'll get a melody in my head and I'll know that goes to guitar and this is what I want to do vocally. But who influenced me vocally was actually female singers like Dinah Washington, Ella Fitzgerald, Nina Simone, not Billie Holiday so much vocally, but the way that she delivered and her rawness, I took a lot from that. But the female vocalists I've always been extremely enamored by, and remember listening to Ella Fitzgerald and stopping and rewinding and singing the parts with her. It's obviously, very jazz oriented. It's jazz, but that definitely is something that inspired me and pushed me to elevate my range and my style, I guess.
Well, I think as a three-piece, you all work so well together, and I really do, as Lou said, he follows your voice.
That baby.
And then there were 5. Hello.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, that's better. Finally.
And there's our drummer and our new drummer.
Hello, baby.
We were talking about influences and how you inspire each other and how you follow each other's playing and how easy it is for you to all work together. And the guys were talking about the artists and bands that were influencing them to start a band, to become an artist, and and that inspired Shadowclub as a band. So Lou said something really beautiful to Jacques, which makes total sense. And Jacques does all that craziness with his voice, and you're all such beautiful players. Isaac, how do you feel about your band? The truth time.
How do I feel about my band?
They make you feel inside? Do they give you butterflies?
Man, I feel like we are like brothers. That's it. We've seen and done the craziest things, and like we've been so tightly connected for so long that I feel like as close to these guys as I do to anyone, even more so.
Well,
and like spiritually and everything else.
Good.
Everything else.
We're certainly connected on an ethereal plane. We're connected in a soul sense, for sure.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll be connected on a plane soon.
Can I elaborate on that? Is that when we did Big Green Mamba Dream, we hadn't played together for a while. And Jacques sent us a body of music and we'd never rehearsed or played any of the music together. So Jacques sent us these tracks, and he's like, "This is what I'm thinking." And they were like, like guitar licks and rhythm things and whatever the compositions were, and we'd never played them together. And we went to George's place, George from Taxi Violence, to Kill City Blues.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'd never. I would need to irritate. No,
Reiterate.
that's what it is. That's what I need.
Reiterate.
So we went there. We never played the tracks, and we got into the first rehearsal. I think we only rehearsed for like one day, but the craziest thing happened that I was thinking what Jacques was thinking, what Isaac was thinking, all about the different instruments and the different parts of the tracks. Like, yes, we had to like flesh them out and figure them out, but in terms of how the music was, like how we would interpret a section, like whether it was going to be more intense or whether it was going to be chilled or what the rhythm would be or whatever, we were all on exactly the same page. And that was for me like the craziest thing. I think we did it in like 2 days or 3 days. And then
is that normal for Shadowclub? Kind of just busting it out, no frills attached, and the end result is always so damn sexy, precise, just brilliant in every way. But you never.
I think one of the best things about that album, sorry, just to butt in there, is like some of those tracks. There's only seven tracks on there, but a couple of them, because we'd hardly played them, we'd only played them like a couple days before. I think like Black Snake, the take that's on that album is literally the first time that we actually played that song all the way through and got it correct. It's not even like correct all the way through, but like it was the first full take of that song where we played it from beginning to end without like a mess up somewhere in there, which is quite cool. That's like the first time that song's been played.
Yeah.
And that's what's captured. That's what's on the album.
That's kind of how Shadowclub rolls. But you guys hadn't played together for a couple of years, or you'd taken a bit of a hiatus. And we were talking about Gareth Wilson earlier, and him and Nickel and the guys had started Good Luck Bar, and you'd come back with a bit of a reunion show, or kind of got back together at about the same time as you started working on these tracks, right?
So actually, what happened was Gareth was involved in the Good Luck Bar at One Fox, and the reason that we actually came together again, because we took a 2-year hiatus, was that he started booking bands there, and he obviously, I mean, he's always been a supporter of Shadowclub in so many different ways. He's booked amazing tours for us. He's booked shows for us. And he's always punted us and pushed us, and he started booking shows for us there, and we played our first show in those after that break at the Good Luck Bar, and that brought us together, and we realized, well, gosh, you know, like I just remember feeling so at home again on stage with my family, you know, Isaac and Louis, and I remember it gnawing at my heartstrings for a long time, because I went through a very difficult patch right after those shows and in between those shows, and just desperate to get back into music and writing and being in studio and on stage with both of them, and doing something with Shadowclub. So I think the energy also that's picked up on that album, as Isaac was talking about, was so much love, you know, and so much gratitude for just being in the same space as each other and making music again, totally. You know.
I think there's all like a massive chunk missing for all of us, like when we're not, when this thing's not like rolling, when we're not actively playing or writing or, you know, doing this thing.
I remember we hadn't played for long. It must have been like, I don't remember it being as long as 2 years, but I remember we hadn't played for, I don't know, maybe a year, or because I think we played, however long it was, but it was a long fucking time. And then And then Gareth phoned Isaac and he said, Isaac, I think it was the Good Luck's 1-year birthday. Yeah, and he said, we have to have Shadowclub play this gig. We're like, well, we're not playing at the moment. Shadowclub's not here right now. So Isaac phoned us and he said, and it wasn't like the first time we'd spoken, the three of us, but it was the first time we'd spoken about possibly playing again. And it was like a pivotal time because Isaac said, Gareth wants us to play the Good Luck's 1-year birthday party. Do we want to do this? And this is my memory of it. And I remember thinking, I totally want to fucking do this. Can we get in a room and just see what happens? And just being in that rehearsal room and feeling the vibration of the bass and, you know, the thump of the kick and hearing Jacques' fucking melodic voice and that raw guitar from that bamboozled fucking Gibson. And it was just the greatest thing ever. It was just awesome.
Yeah. You're giving me such goosebumps with all of this chat about the band really and how it makes you feel and being back on stage at Good Luck Bar and being in that rehearsal space. It's all just
look, I think that the reality of the journey of Shadowclub has been a very intense and very real and life redefining time for each of us at different times. You know, I wouldn't have ever opened Pablo anything if what happened with Shadowclub never happened, and Isaac may not be with that beautiful child on his lap right now, and Jacques might not be there with his gorgeous daughter.
Might not have turned out gay.
You ain't gay if you both ain't gay, bro.
Oh wait,
that's
always
been the rule.
So I think that like we can talk about it like it's a story and say, oh yes, and then one day this, one day that, and blah blah blah. But the reality is, the three of us are living what happened, and nothing. I don't think the three of us would be what we are today if it wasn't for Shadowclub and if it wasn't for the journey that we've taken. Yeah. And I think that I just want to write some more music. Like, let's write some more music.
I don't think it's a choice. I think
one last thing. It's just that in terms of the Shadowclub journey and having a journey with Jacques, which is something I think we need to talk about, is this new album that he's written is like my biggest party trick. Like if I'm fading or anything and I just put on that new album, it's like I'm the best host ever because it's a fucking amazing body of work. It's an incredible album.
We'll talk about the great Morocco Redemption, and we'll talk more about the love story that is Shadowclub and what's to come in the future. But let's check out more music, shall we? Please, yes. Could we check out Dirt in the Rubble? What a beautiful, beautiful song.
Here we are, look sharp, hey, my baby's in trouble. Writhing in the dark, in the dirt and the rubble. It's the same damn predicament as before. My heavy heart could burn a hole through the floor. Oh. trouble. Writhing in the dark, in the dirt and the rubble. It's the same God-forsaken places before. My heavy tears could burn a hole through the floor. Superstition is in, friends in harmony, warn against coming back and setting me free. In the heat of the night, look sharp, my baby's in trouble. Robbing in the dark, in the dirt and the rubble.
Bravo, bravo, bravo. Dirt and the Rubble, Shadowclub. Your music makes me feel a little something in my tummy.
Yeah,
We-
I'm getting emotional there.
Yeah, I see.
All right.
Amen. Amen.
You know that-
brother.
That was an amazing video. That was Fausto Bacardi. He had that footage that he shot on an 8mm camera, if I'm correct. I
Yes,
think.
yeah.
And we sent him the video, and he'd gone out with these two friends of his and just shot this amazing footage and pieced it together, like edited it to the song. And he's also just in here, so in the house. So I'm a big fan of Fausto's. This is a piece of Fausto's. But he's there, and he's there.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Anyway, so Fausto
Shout out.
Fausto
Fausto.
Bacardi, yeah, he's an absolute legend, and he's the nicest Italian fella that I know.
Can I just say, as a side note, that I think that 3 months in lockdown and 200 bottles of alcohol later, you've become very good at accents, Lulu.
Oh, this is nothing. I've just been
I
perfecting
don't
this.
know,
for
like I think he's
Yes.
getting a bit rusty there.
It was a lot better 2 years ago.
I've traveled in a sardine can with these two guys for years, up and down the coast. So
And
I
you're
know
saying
about these
you had
accents.
accents back then?
Hey?
Yeah. I just got a message from Dogstar, who's he's a DJ, owns a club called And in town, and he said to me, "I'm watching." He says the camera definitely adds 10 pounds. I said those are real 10 pounds.
That's not the camera.
That's not. That's an HD camera.
Jacques, neither of us have seen Louis for months. How would you know if it's real or not? Just saying.
Exactly. Well, I'm seeing him now. No, I'm seeing him.
No, but in real life, it's been ages. Again.
So long. So long.
So
I miss you. It's so good to see you.
So
Face
good to
again.
see you.
Crikey, Moses.
Let's go online. A big shout out to the Barbers, to Howard and Teresa watching, Andrew Gifford saying good evening, and fame.org.za. Thank you so much for checking us out. Stefan Lawrence saying hi, and our bestie from Gunshot Blue, France Carrera, saying nice to see you all again.
Hey, France. What's up, buddy?
Oh, Stefan Lawrence.
Vinny, you're incredibly kind. Thank you so much for popping by to say hi. And Nicole Harris checking us out too. So we've played some of your music. We've spoken about your influences and getting together and just basic lockdown chatter, really. But I think now we need to touch on what you're going to be doing going forward. Obviously, I was about to say just before playing that song and having all of the feels and all of the goosebumps every time I listen to your music. I think it would be unfair of you not to make any more Shadowclub music. So I think we'll be waiting for a lot more from you. Big Green Mamba Dream was mind-blowing, just an absolute treasure of music, as were your first two albums. But
I always feel like we got unfinished business.
yeah,
The sound of that.
Yeah, there's a roster of music that's begging to be played, and it's coming, and we're going to be doing it. So that's for damn sure.
good. Plus, it only ever takes you guys a week to do a whole album anyway, so that's fine. That's done. We're doing an online handshake for an album soon. Look, there it is. Thank you.
Yeah. I swear it's this big.
It does. Secret shake.
Tell us about the Great Marika Redemption.
Okay, so the Great Mariko Redemption is a body of work that is new and old. A lot of it very, very new, actually. And I started looking because our shows started slowing down. Isaac went to Cape Town. Louis was very, very busy with Pablo House and Pablo Eggs Go Bar. And I needed to actually pull my act together and start looking at working for myself and getting my solo career sorted. So I started working on these songs. I pulled out a couple that had been on my phone. That what I do is the process is I'll come up with the song and the basic idea I record onto my phone. So I've got this like backlog of material on my phone. And I started listening to a couple of these tracks, and I was like, I've got an album here. So I approached Barry Burke, who's got a studio called The Base Station, which is an amazing, very earthy, just brilliantly kitted out studio in Parkhurst. And he's got a purist's take on producing and working on music, and it was just amazing. I bumped into him at the Radium Beer Hall after a Shadowclub show, and he said, "Come to the studio and move some air." That's exactly what he said. And so I went in there, and we started working on this album, and a couple of months later, I think it was 3 exactly, I started, sending it out there and getting a bit of feedback from it, and I've ended up going with Tick Tick Bang on the album, and we're releasing the first single called Into the Rain tomorrow.
It's a great tune.
Yeah, and it's like
Amen.
it's very Americanist, genre-wise. It's Americana folk blues, a little bit of rock and roll. I'd say Into the Rain is definitely like your classic 50s lollipop rock and roll before the 60s psychedelica, that like Beach Boys kind of sound. I'm sure there's a ton of names I could whip out of the bag, but that's the first that comes to mind as a reference. But so it's a body of work that I'm incredibly proud of, and I cannot wait to show the world, not just South Africa. I'm looking at going overseas and touring it there. And I've already, during lockdown, I've already got the second album together. I've worked on a whole bunch of new songs. I'm going to be playing a few on the Music for Masks festival show. That's a charity drive to get masks out to people, and that's coming up soon. And I'm also, what I've been working on is actually playing a show at your house out there when the lockdown permits. So I've got the Homecoming Home show that I started on Facebook. You can go and check that out. It's a raffle that you can enter, and if you win, then I'll come with amazing sound and lighting and perform the entire album at your house. And so that's that's pretty much that. It's what I'm really really enjoying about it is being independent and being the only sort of hands in the the making of the material, and it's been so I've had a lot of responsibility because of that. So I've matured quite a lot as not just a writer and composer, but as a as a musician, because this is now my this is what I do. So yeah, it's
Well, I
been
think
quite a journey.
I think Shadowclub or otherwise, I think it's your best work. That's
Wait
what I
until you hear the second group of work, because it's like it's evolved, and I'm finding the what makes Jacques Moorman, because I think the first body of work is like a bit of this and a bit of that, and I'm starting to find what the sound of Jacques Moorman is, and it's become far more refined.
Amazing.
Kerry, I said to Jacques, I said if he ever goes on tour, that I would like to play bass for the Groot Mariko Redemption.
Yeah,
and I suggested that
so
perhaps
Isaac actually
should
played
maybe
drums on the album.
drums.
Yeah. So as soon as bigger shows come through, that's gonna happen.
Another online handshake coming up.
They're like, "Good morning, Keller. Good morning." You're like, "Hey, hey."
Yeah, but there's also another thing I'd like to mention there, that Isaac and I worked on a little electronic project called Small Fears that we released.
I want to talk about that next. Yes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about.
I think Isaac can tell us about that.
Isaac, go.
Small Fears. So I mean, for forever, I've been like an electro head, as well as a rock and roll head. But like, I've always been producing. Me and Louis have done like a bunch of stuff, like electronica, dance music. It's always been a big part of my life as well. So I've always got I've got a studio here in Cape Town, and I've always got just beats lying around. And I'd gone through a stage where I was like, instead of I was like going off of the.
Some Tie-Dye's remixes with Lulu. Is that what we're talking about here? When you guys
Tie-Dye's. So me and Louis had a project called Future Records.
No.
Called Tracker.
No.
We had like a little label called Bone Town Records.
Hey, Lee.
We got a tattoo of Bone Town Records.
Isaac is on his private place, so he can't show.
So yeah, it's always been like a massive part of my life, and I went through a stage where I was like moving away from programming like software and recording a whole bunch of hardware synthesizers, but doing like long stretches of single takes with different instruments and putting them together, and then recording live drums underneath that. So I had a bunch of these beats that I had made, and then I think we were on tour. Shadowclub was on tour, and me and Jacques were talking about making some music on the side, and he was like, "Cool, send me some, send me whatever you've got." So I sent him a bunch of these new like experimentations, not actually expecting anything to come of it. And I think like, he sent me back vocals like quickly, and I was just like, fuck, that's sick. And then he sent me another one, I was like, that's fucking awesome, man. Like, let's just put it out.
Well, it's great. I'm loving the Small Fears. Jacques, your great Mariko Redemption material is phenomenal. The first single dropping tomorrow. You've also posted some Small Fears recently, in the last couple of weeks, I think. So I'll share all of that on all of our pages, on Discover TV, on the Hangout, and on all of our personal pages too. So you can find it all there if you didn't know about the great Mariko Redemption or Small Fears. I want to listen to another track now. And I think we need to have a little listen to it. It's a song that I play often when I'm playing a vinyl or a even a CDJ set, but it just pumps me up for the party. And I'm pretty keen to play it. Let's check it out. say, what a great track. And we have a sexy little Hellcat online. He says that recording of All Aboard is incredible. And he says, hi.
Can I just say something about that song quickly?
Hello?
Yes.
Hello? Okay, so
please do.
So that track, like, we played so many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shows, that, like, there's so many subtle things that happen on stage that we feel that no one else in the audience knows or recognizes or can see. And for me personally, I felt like there was a time when, you can start a set with the wrong song and set like the totally wrong, like, internal vibe for the 3-piece as like a unit to be creative and play that show. And I felt like every time we opened with that song, I think there was a stage where we were opening with that for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And I felt like it set the perfect tone every single time, and it just like got us into the groove. And every time we didn't, like, if we got bored of it and we were like 10 shows in, we were like, okay, we've opened with All Aboard now 10 times in a row. Let's try something else. Let's open with Lucy. It was just a fucking disaster. Like, for me, anyway, I could just not get
nothing to do.
Probably open with All Aboard again.
No, but seriously, All Aboard really does pump me up. So I often play that tune when I'm DJing a gig. There's something just kind of energetic and punchy and just really cool about it that I really dig. So it's almost time for us to wrap up, and I really don't want to go. So let's give it a couple more minutes. Firstly, everybody is stuck, or they have been. Restrictions are lifting slowly. I feel like we can finally see each other in real life again.
Finally.
Exactly.
I'm not leaving the house, y'all.
Cool, bro. I'm gonna send you an awesome mask with like a filter.
Send me like a fucking hazmat suit, and I'll come to band practice.
You know what? What's his name? George Lucas should have just waited till Corona to start the Star Wars series, because that just would have been like perfect.
And Jacques is so good at fashion, so he could have pulled in with a bit of like a Jacques. Maybe you should still kind of design a very special Shadowclub hazmat suit. What do you think?
I love the idea. I've actually been wanting to get back into clothes for a while.
Into
so
PPE.
Hazmat suits coming, brother.
You totally want to get back into the PPE industry for one time.
That's a talk for another. That's another interview altogether.
A talk for another time. Franz Kura is saying Hiri tune is Varum. So thanks for that. And Alexander is saying Shadowclub is the benchmark for rock and roll in SA, period. And from a band like Hellcats and from Gunshot Blue, these are high praises, which I absolutely agree with. You guys are blazing on all the levels. Quick fire questions. Series that you are loving right now, Lulu.
Walking Dead. I watched 146 episodes during lockdown, sir.
Series you're watching, loving right now.
Well, no. I think never mind. Sorry.
Good Lord. What series was I watching? I've watched like a few. There's that Blood something on Netflix about the brothers on that.
Bloodline?
Bloodline. Yes, I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying that again. Bloodline. There we go. And Rick and Morty. Good Lord.
The last series that I got addicted to was Working Moms.
We got some Rick and Morty, some Working Moms, some Bloodline, Walking Dead, but I feel like, Lou, you've got one more to throw in the pot.
New Porn is not a series, right? It's the series that never ends.
I love Pornhub. That's a great series.
They gotta tell the original
Pornhub series for quite a while. So many episodes to get through, though. So many directors involved and actors and. It's a
And
massive
the lighting
production.
is so good, and the storyline is phenomenal.
Every show is a brand new cast. You know, it's just goddamn
The
beautiful.
actors just keep on coming.
They keep on.
Oh, shit, I just said a dad joke and laughed
Yeah,
at it.
totally.
What
Yeah,
just
that's
glad-
because you're a dad.
He wasn't in the room.
I'm
I've
changing.
been so hot with the dad jokes lately. I've like had to develop a part of my brain that cuts it off.
Last question. Where is the first place you're going? And you're not allowed to say Pablo House or Pablo Escobar because that's what we're all doing the day that we can all come together. But first place you're going when you're allowed to go anywhere in the whole world. Isaac, go.
Maybe the beach.
The beach.
Anywhere in the
Hey,
world.
man, the beach is right outside your door.
Okay, wait.
I haven't been outside, man.
Oh man.
Okay. All expenses paid. Okay. Anywhere in the world. Anywhere.
It's the beach.
I want to go to the beach.
Gosh.
Gosh.
Got a place?
You know what? I really want to go to London to visit my mom, and I'm looking at possibly going there to play soon. Well, next year.
That's an amazing.
When that happens. So yeah.
Amazing.
But I've also been chatting about maybe going to the West Coast and just having a time out there.
Down at us, will you meet us in the West Coast if we both come down to the West?
Hell yeah.
The Northwest.
Is there a beach there?
I love lamb.
It's the
Yeah.
landlocked coast of
Getting
the
crazy.
western coast, landlocked coast.
I feel like we're sitting here all night chatting, and I feel like I get points deducted because I'm always going over time, and I'm going to get into big
But
trouble.
Lou, where are you going? Where are you going, bro?
So my sister lives in Copenhagen, and they're on the like the arse end of lockdown. Things are sort of returning to normal, and my sister is like she's like studied like after school for like 25 years, and she's a professor of genomics or whatever the hell it is. Anyway, she's quitting. She works for like a pharmaceutical company in Denmark. And she's quitting, and she's bought a house on the most northern tip of Denmark on the beach in this old 18th
On the beach?
And Isaac comes.
It's this
Exactly.
century, like this 18th century like homestead on like 4,000 square meters or something. And I want to go there, and I want to see my sister, and I want to go and see my nieces who are turning 6 on the weekend. And that's what I want to do.
Sick.
Well, that's what we want to do. Say hello.
That sounds amazing. I was just going to say, please bring everybody in. Kylie, Jacques, if you've got Vivi or Nikki close by. Isaac, if you can grab your baby or a dog. Let's all just grab.
It's like nighttime, y'all.
Isaac, wake that baby up, that lazy baby.
I got one of her books. There, I got Peter Rabbit.
I'm in lockdown with this baby.
I've got
Thanks for watching, y'all.
That dog and
that guy.
he's in trouble. He ate my medallion the last time I was at Pablo House. But go to Pablo House for the medallions and for the lamb and for the pizza, and go to Escobar for
Come
all
here,
the
baby.
delicious.
Come, baby.
Vivi,
Hey.
hello.
Hey.
I have a question. Guys. It was Vivi's birthday just the other day. Let's sing happy birthday to her to wrap up this interview. 1, 2, 3. Happy
Birthday to you.
Happy
Birthday to you.
Happy
Happy birthday to you.
Just wait.
Hooray!
Yumble, Scrumsteins.
Jacques Mormon song from the Great Miracle Redemption is coming out tomorrow. Into the Rain, please check it out. I will post all the material from Jacques' solo career as well as Small Fears with Isaac and Jacques. I'll post all of the stuff that Louis is up to in the future, but please keep on supporting Shadowclub, one of the greatest bands in the world. A big shout out to the pups and to the loveliest Lee. A big shout out to you and your family, Isaac, and to
Thank
Libby and Nikki and Jacques, sending all of the love. Thank you for spending your Thursday night with me. I'll be back with you.
You rock. We love you.
Thank you, Kerry-Anne. Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for
Kerry.
having us. I love you
Much
guys.
love.
Have a great night. Thanks everyone for watching.
You guys.
Thank you so much,
Peace.
guys. We are wrapping up with Witch's Soul of Big Green Mamba Dream. I'm Kerry-Anne. Thanks so much, Jules. Take care. Have a beautiful Thursday and a great weekend ahead. Lots of love.
You love this song.